That'll go to the county commission in July too.
Second, David.
Paul?
Are you ready?
Yes, sir.
Next item is a site plan review for Stanley Services Group Incorporated to be located at 905 Reed Bull Road, and Highway 11 in New Market by Bobby Stanley.
You got a small one in your packet. Anybody want a big one to look at?
Let's lay one out here for everyone. This way.
Bigger than you, Chief.
Of course, that kind of says it all right there, doesn't it, Terry?
What's that?
You guys want one? I don't guess Bobby's here. I saw him down there at the site when me and David went by, but he's the one putting up the building. And I guess it's for his business. I
It is
didn't
for
talk to him
storage.
when he come in. I was out. For what?
For his equipment and
Yeah, we
supplies.
rezoned that several,
So is this one?
Months ago, I don't
So
remember when.
It's not going to be an issue on this, I don't think.
No.
Is that where the machine shop is gonna go?
no, this is on, right before you get to Buffalo's there.
So,
The
Between the old highway and,
Parking's
With all
fine,
state
10 by
roads.
20,
it's
there's
past
a
that.
at least
garage.
24
Well,
feet
it
of
might be.
backup space.
It's close.
yeah.
And then,
That state garage might be behind it there.
24,
I guess it
yeah.
is on, but it's
and
between, is it
Reed's not
between Buffalo
traveled
and here?
nearly as much as.
Yeah.
Heck, I
If
just
this
got
is
from
Reed Bull
which is-
Road right here,
Yeah, he comes to the
He's
Reed
coming
Bull.
off of Reed Bull.
Instead of
if
11.
Reed Bull Road right here, that's not a Cooper property.
No, Cooper property, he bought it off of Cooper.
Oh, okay, that's off that old pig
But you know,
place.
Cooper put them houses behind it.
Yeah, but this is where the old Sea Rock City barn sits,
Yeah.
where that is.
Yeah.
Yeah, they tore it down. It's gone.
Yeah, the barn's
Yeah.
gone, but that's where the barn was sitting there.
They're actually doing some grading in there right now.
Did you say this was for storage of his equipment?
Yeah, he's got an electric
Supplies.
supplies business. I didn't know the name of that. What is the name of
Had been,
his? Electric, what
No,
is
he
it?
sold that.
Oh, did he? Yeah, he
It's
did.
not Property Group,
Yeah, I
I
forget his
believe
name.
it's Stanley Property Group, I believe,
I believe that's what it is,
Okay,
too.
yeah, he just
Yeah,
needs
he
places
sold
to
the
do his
admin
stuff.
thing to
or
somebody.
Stanley Services Group.
Yeah, Stanley Services Group, that's what some.
But he bought it off Cooper.
Oh, okay,
Yeah,
that's
well-
off the old pet place.
Yeah, and it, I don't know, we rezoned it last year sometime.
Yeah.
But it's a strip that goes right there in
Yeah.
front of Evelyn's.
Don't
old
it
house.
back up to Buffalo's place? Or is it the state garage it backs up to?
Goes
Old
down
state
there, it goes down there in front of her house, where her old house was,
Okay,
right
yeah.
there.
What
That's
is he
it.
sold?
And there's
C2.
C2, okay.
Yeah.
So, and then there's a cutoff right down there. There's the exit for that old house that goes out on the road
Yeah,
before you get to state garage.
yeah.
Well, the building's in the setbacks, good, parking is ample, turnaround room, entrance is wide enough, looks like. And it's a small lot, so drainage is really not an issue here, so.
Plus, I believe judging from what I saw, it looks like the highway, both roadways were designed to handle this type of
The top,
additional. I don't think it'd be an issue at all.
okay,
I recommend for approval of the site plan, Chairman.
all right. Any questions? I'll entertain.
Move to approve.
Got a proper motion?
Second.
And second. Any other discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Okay, are you ready, Dave?
Yes, sir.
Next item is a final plat review for 14 lots on Highway 2570 on Newport Highway Danridge by Kodal Krupa LLC, Kadasha and Harel Patel.
I've got large map. if
You
want
have,
to see.
what is your name, sir?
Josh Miller.
Josh
Moore.
Moore, M-O-O-R-E?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Is that the signed copies?
These are the signed copies.
Okay, yeah, just hand them to David there.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
You should have some smaller, yeah, y'all got them in your packet there.
If you remember, this preliminary was before us here. I think the only thing that we needed was an extra fire hydrant. I think is the only thing that was required, and I assume that it's been installed then.
What's the status? Yeah, go ahead if you would. with
So I have
the
a letter from the installer. We're waiting on TDOT. So TDOT has to do a traffic plan, and also they were doing an engineering on the water pressure, which has already been signed off on by the water department. And so everything is in supply, it's ready to go, so they're waiting on TDOT's approval of that traffic plan for them to be able to go ahead and do the install.
For the construction.
Yeah, so once they do that, it's all set, and I've got a letter from them if y'all want to pass that around. Might be a couple short here.
And this has already been paid for?
It's in the works.
Okay.
So it's already set in stone that once they have it, then it will be launched.
Okay. Water, sewer,
911,
electric.
we got a state highway, so.
Chairman, all the certificates that we need signed have been handled. And this is the same as the preliminary plat. So I'll go ahead and recommend for final approval of the plat.
Okay. Questions? Any questions?
What is TDOT after?
It's in the right of way,
Oh, okay.
where the water line's at.
Traffic
So-
control is really what we're talking about, right?
Okay. So everybody understands what, okay. Okay, got a proper motion and a proper second. Okay? Any
Is
other
that you,
discussion?
Paul?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All right. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
I think we can have Sue sign this now if you'd like.
Yeah, you can let her sign it, then you can record it tomorrow.
Okay, that'd be great.
Sign it too. Right.
Yeah, raise.
Yep.
Yep. And what's the date today?
Today's the 26th,
Okay.
4/26.
Well, have a place for it.
Right there on that line.
Here?
Yep.
What am I gonna sign?
Put your name there. Sign your name. And sign another one. Go ahead and put your name first on the next one.
Okay.
I don't think it's, it makes a whole lot of difference, but 4/26, 22. And they'll have one will be recorded, the others can.
They'll only have one upstairs. Keep it on.
Take
You need it?
We've got 3 signed here, is that okay?
Well, we know Mike requires a sign. We need one big.
Okay, here you go, sir.
Thank you.
There's 2 of them, is that okay?
That's perfect.
I'll try not to tear it up.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, thank you. Yep.
Next item is discussion to change the subdivision regulations to establish a usable building site on all lots prior to approval. If you remember, we brought this up and discussed this at our last meeting. It's something that we felt comfortable with, that we think it'd take a burden off of us, a lot of it will, per se, hopefully in the future, and everything else. And if you had the opportunity to look, David took it upon himself. He sort of started something here, I mean, there, and this is just as a starting point to see if we want to add, or if we want to change, or how we want to do it as far as the parameters go. So, this time, I'm just going to open it up for discussion, what you want to do.
Well, I'll just be fair with you. I like Mark's idea of the thing of putting a percentage on it rather than the square feet. And that way, you know, and then the other thing we talked about in here is that if this is done and they sign off on that, there's no variance. Don't come back and don't ask us to change your setbacks or your anything. If you do this, you're guaranteeing
A buildable
a
area.
buildable area for
without
that.
a need for
And so don't
variances.
come back and ask about the garage, don't come back and ask about setting it back. I want to set it back 15 feet instead of 35. I think all that needs to be in here.
I wish we'd done this 20 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm glad you did.
John Neal, you're absolutely right. Variances under state law are designed to address properties that are existing lots of record that were done theoretically before the subdivision regulations were applied, and
But we
and
create-
to prevent
we
an
cre-
administrative
At this point-
taking of property so they can be used, but we don't need to be creating lots
No, we don't need to be
That,
creating any more.
that would need a variance to actually function. I agree 100% with you on that. The wording of it is something I think we need to agree, but I think we all, right now it says, it's listed as C1 on page 15 of the subdivision regulations, and it says adequate building sites. Each lot shall contain a building site not subject to flood as defined in section F of this article, and outside the limits of any existing easement or building setback lines required in section 4 of this section. Land within a floodway as defined in section F of this article shall not be platted for building purposes. Said land may be counted as part of the lot in computing lot sizes, density, if you will. Property below the 1002 or 02 contour on Douglas Lake shall not be included when calculating the total lot size. And we've done that for forever. We've always gone by that. It doesn't say anything about what defines an adequate building site. I mean, what criteria, what characteristics. It said a couple of things it shouldn't be, like in flood hazard area, but it doesn't mention anything about slope or, you know, anything having to do with the landscape.
Right, it doesn't say, let's say, for instance, if somebody sells you a rock and you can't get your house on it, well, we're saying here, that doesn't count. You know, you bought the rock, as far as that goes. So, anyway, but here, even you got in here free from excessive rock formations. But, you know, unless you're actually going to do a core sample or anything like that, you don't know what you're going to get into on properties until you actually sometimes start digging. So, but anyway,
So what about, do we need to address the Because I know there's been some issue on different ones. Do we need to address the thing where these people are putting in a pool on their reserve septic tank area, and then when they come,
Well, actually, they should,
because they,
That'd be up to Carter, I believe.
yeah, but they're coming in asking for variances in to do different things, aren't they?
We don't have-
We've not required, I mean, nobody asked one for in the reserve that I remember,
Okay.
that I recall,
well, here's the thing.
but, I mean, could have happened.
The thing is that they could do is, if there's a reserve area there, and for some reason they wanted to use that area, and they came into Tom and they remapped the soil, and he found another reserve area that would take that place.
Yeah.
And if he comes in, and he says, we would release this area, as far as that goes, then, you know, I don't know that we would need a variance there.
Well, what I was,
He's basically, he's
what
just
I was
basically.
trying to do was keep from covering any variances
That might
that
be.
they, that they're,
Yeah.
they'll want
I see
later
what
on.
you're
I
I
mean,
know.
I don't know that we've done one on pool ever, but we.
well, a
There's not a
garage,
building
pool, a
for a
garage,
setback.
Garage,
you know,
yeah.
Yeah, the pool itself would not be an
But
issue.
now in R1, you ain't gonna move that reserve. They ain't got no room to move it.
Well, that's
A1,
probably,
you might,
right,
you know.
okay.
Question, how is that policed if somebody, you know, we don't really do anything from the planning commission or zoning perspective, you know, when it comes to the, you know, the drain field area and the reserve.
well, I was just thinking about it, when we do this, about the verbiage that we include, we need to make it clear that once they do this, and we set these things in place, you don't get a variance. You buy the lot, the developer has to guarantee it, and the surveyor guarantees that that lot
I think that's in. the
fits
story.
what, at the end, this is it.
Yeah, I believe.
Every how we have to say that.
I believe that would be the end of story.
Here, the other thing that I thought is that, you know, we require now, where everybody puts in there, basically that they sign off. I'd like for this to actually be a statement here, stating just what you said, that's standard, that has to go on that plat.
Yeah, and the surveyor and the developer or the owner or whoever's doing it has to sign that right there, so that it exempts us out of any liability.
What, a statement that there will be no,
Well, a statement that whatever we're saying here, as far as, that this is included on the plat, that says that that lot's buildable, it's, there's at least a percentage or a square foot, and like I say, I like the percentage that Mark talked about better than I like the,
I don't recall what that is, so.
Who would sign
With the
it?
percentage,
Yeah, I don't remember what that was
do you remember what percentage you said?
of the
I
lot.
said 10%, but this is about 7.5, and, you know, you're looking at a 20,000 foot lot, a 40,000 foot lot.
Right, so,
So, I mean, it's gonna be 1,500 to 3,000. I mean, if you got a bigger lot, chances are you're gonna build a bigger house.
the one thing and I looked at this earlier, and I sent David an email back, that was this, was that if you look at this here, the way he's got it, if you just did the 1,500 square foot, okay, in the area right there, well, I said, what was to keep somebody from just doing a 10 by 150? Well, that's not a buildable
That's
lot.
not the intent either.
I know it's not the intent, but you know how people I mean, if there's gray area there, they'll find it.
and that's why we need this on the plat,
Yes.
because when they sign that, if that's what they've done, then the homeowner has to build a 10 by,
Yeah. I know.
I don't know what
That-
you're saying, but who signs it? The surveyor? or-
surveyor.
You want them all to?
I want the surveyor to sign it, I want the owner or the developer to sign that, or whoever's selling that lot. Because when they sell that lot to them, they've got to guarantee them that they've got a buildable site. And they know that we don't, look,
Yeah.
Let me ask
if
all
you
of
build a narrow greenhouse hut out there, then that's the deal. You gotta build it just like that.
Let me ask a question. Terry may know this, and the rest of you actually may know it as well. When it comes down to health, let me put it this way. What if we have a buildable area shown on a plat, meets setbacks, large enough or percentage-wise large enough? What happens when it comes time to put a septic system in? And what if that takes up a place, part of the buildable
Well,
area
no,
of the
this
house?
has gotta be beside, the septic
yeah,
system has got to be done.
But do
This
they do
has
that,
got-
do they do that, I get it, but do they do that, does the health department lay it out on the front end?
Yeah.
They typically, when they map the soil there, you're gonna look at that soils map and you're gonna see areas in here, and it's gonna show in here the usable area on that lot that's for the septic.
And then they actually put the detail in when it comes time to build the house, correct?
That's correct, yes.
So the developer does the soil, will have to on this.
Yeah, the soil scientist whenever they send that to Tom, they send him a soils map, okay, of the whole thing. That's the layout. And Tom's gonna look at it down here and says, okay, here's a lot right here. All right, boys, on this lot right here, this is where your septic's gonna go. And then this is where, so this is the area that you got. So then it falls back on the developer and surveyor saying, okay, here's where the septic's gonna have to go. Now we gotta find a place for the
Now I
house to
gotta
go.
find 7% or 7.5%, or
Right.
whatever it is. And the reason I like the percentage better is like on a 40,000 square foot lot, that's 2,800 square foot. If you do 7%, it's 2,800 square foot. That's a house and a garage.
Yeah.
And then we don't worry about the garage. Hey, they come back and they say, can you give me a variance so I can put that up?
Does it, Terry, in your experience as a builder and all that sort of thing, and as a zoning/building official, when it comes time when the house is actually built and the septic people come out and handle all that, or the health department does, are there ever any surprises that would make the need for a variance after the fact, even though we thought everything was in order? That legitimately happen sometimes when they get out there and actually?
It just happened. It happened to Rob in the county. And what it did was that the people who bought the land, they went in there and they didn't know it. And they'd gone in there and they'd field, where they were getting ready to build their house because they had their field line laid out. They got digging in there and it was full of tires. And so they had to dig all these tires out and the whole 9 yards and everything else. And, they were lucky that they could squeeze in there. But those kind of things, that's,
In that
property
case,
owner's
that's-
buying that, he hasn't, probably doesn't have any idea that somebody's done that to the property. And so they're sort of stuck at that point in time, which,
That would be grounds for a legitimate
but
variance.
here-
No, that, or they could
no.
go back on the person that sold them the property.
Yes, they would go back on the developer.
Okay.
Yeah.
The surveyor wouldn't know that, but the developer would have to stand good for
The
this.
seller, yeah.
The seller of that property would have to stand good,
They
and
have
they'd
to
have to,
disclose that stuff.
well, if he
Don't
didn't
they?
know it, he'd have to buy the lot back,
Yeah,
or he'd have to make them whole. I mean, it's not up to us, but
yeah.
that would cut out all of that, David.
But that
I guess it
happened.
would, okay.
I mean, if you come and buy the lot from me, and I don't know that there's buried an environmental hazard there, or buried
But
tires,
that's possible.
and that's entirely possible, and you discover it, and you come back to me and say, hey, I can't build a house here, then the remedy is I give you your money back. Now, if you don't want to take the money back, then it's on you.
Yeah.
If you don't, oh no, this is my dream lot or whatever, that's fine. But the remedy is that developer gives you
The
your
planning
money back.
commission has done their due diligence on it, and
Planning commission does not have any
it
liability.
doesn't have any
in
real
that.
standing there, do they?
And that's why we need a statement on the plat that has language in it, they've got to make them whole for what, they're liable for it.
How are they gonna find out that land is okay until after they've bought it and started
If-
digging?
Most of them are just gonna make the assumption that it is.
Most of them make something, but the thing about it is, Miss Sue, if you're buying a piece of property, you can do a phase 1 environmental, you can do core drilling, you can do, it's up to you to do the due diligence. Or if the seller represents it to be whole, then you get a statement from him and it goes back on the seller.
I don't foresee us having a lot of those out there. Most of them are gonna be these steep lake lots that we're running into. That's been the biggest problem in the past, and what we're trying to do is nip it in the bud so that in the future that we don't even, don't even have to worry about it.
Well, we won't be creating any more
No.
reasons to have variance.
That's correct, yes,
That's right.
yes.
And like I said earlier, they're not supposed to be granted for new lots. They're supposed to be only be granted where you have a existing lot of record that predates the subdivision or zoning requirements.
And we'll still have some of those that
Oh,
come
yes,
before us.
they'll rear their heads forever, but,
Yeah. Okay.
when they're.
Well, I just have Dave come up with the language you want on the plat, and that's,
Well, we will. I think what it's gonna be is that, I think it'll be something in here that states that the information shown here upon this plat is true and correct in regards to, the location of the building sites as shown, and that, they will be free from any flooding, excessive rock formations, and not located in an area for septic and drain and reserve areas, right there. And then basically it would say, what do we say, the slope, was it 10%? So what
I put 10%, but
I
that's
know,
a starting
so-
point.
So basically what we're gonna have to decide is that if we're gonna look at a percentage of the lot, that area, okay, right there, and then the slope in that area can't exceed what?
There's always gonna be some grading necessary, but it doesn't need to be.
10% slope's a doable slope. I mean,
Okay,
they can,
all right,
they can, if they've got a regular sized house, that's gonna be 6 or 8 block.
okay. Here's it still kind of brings me back to the same thing. When we were looking at the 1,500 square feet, okay, because then, like I said, the guy did the 10 by 150, all right, which can be, I'm not saying it could be shady as far as it goes. It would meet the requirements, per se, even if the percentage was there. But do we not need to say that there is a minimum depth, or something that, there?
It gets away from the 10 by 150.
Yeah, it
Or,
does.
Yeah,
we
you
could
could
put
say-
something in there reasonably close to square, and it would be, of course, we would interpret that, if somebody came with a 10 by 150, we wouldn't approve it, because it makes no sense.
Well, the other thing is that I want it contiguous. I don't want it to come in here and look like something like this. We made that work, we got that, well, that defeats the
So
point
we
too.
put a minimum of, let's see, a 30 by 30 be 600 square feet, so 40 by 40 would be
1,600.
1,600 square feet.
Yeah. Well, like I say, I looked at, typically, a house is gonna be anywhere from 30, probably to 40 foot wide. And that typically, as far as it goes, although unless you got offsets and everything else in there, as far as it goes. But, I think between 30 and 35 for the depth, it would be sufficient. And then, so we're gonna say, your depth is gonna have to be this much. And then, we can come in and say, all right, so you've got 40,000 square feet. All right, so you're gonna say 10% of that, so you're gonna need 4,000 square feet. So you're gonna have to take 40,000 divided by 30, and that's gonna give you your length. Would that not make it work? Is that not
Or you
right?
could have a ratio of, it should not be any deeper or shallower than 2 to 1
Well,
or
if
something
you-
like that.
If you make it a minimum of 30 by 40, that's 1,200 square feet. So you made a minimum of that, then they can't get any narrower or any shorter.
And they can expand on each.
They can
any way
expand
they
ever
want.
how far they
That's
want, but
right.
you make it a minimum,
The minimum, yes.
That's
That's what
the
I'm saying.
minimum, and that's a 1,200 square foot.
So a 30 by
Footprint.
40.
Okay.
So the depth, so that would be the minimum. All right, and then if they need to go more, they can.
Well, yeah, they can go wider, they can go whatever. I mean, if they go, like if it's 2,800 square feet, they can't get any shallower than 30. They can go longer, or they can make it wider,
But they gotta get.
and they gotta be at least 40 foot long.
Okay, but I thought we had to get at least 4,000 square feet. Because if we're 10%, let's say for instance, you got a 40,000 square foot lot, 10% of that's gonna be.
I don't think you need to be 10%. I think the 7,
Yeah.
the
So-
7 on a 40,000 square foot lot is 2,800 square foot footprint. And that's
Okay.
gonna be a 2,000 square foot house and 800 foot garage.
Okay,
And if they wanna be bigger, that's fine.
so we're gonna have 7.5%.
7.5 or 7?
Oh, 7, you say?
7 be 28, on a 40,000,
Yeah.
be 2,800 square
2800
foot.
square.
wouldn't it?
All right, so we got 7%,
14 of them.
and then the minimum, and then the minimum is
30 by 40.
30 by 40.
And see, that gets you, if you're on a 20,000 square foot lot, that still comes under, that's a 40 by 30 is 1,200 square feet, and a 7% on a 20 is 1,400 square feet.
Yeah. So
And
we're
if those
still,
parameters are met, they can go beyond that, as long as they meet the setbacks and everything.
Yeah.
And if they come in and want to build a 4,000 square foot house on that lot,
They
and
bought
they
the
would need a
wrong lot.
variance, I'm sorry,
They bought the
they
wrong
bought the
lot.
wrong lot.
They gotta go up.
Well, you know, the way the
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
variances,
That's what you're
the
gonna
way
end
the
up
state
doing.
law for variances reads is that variances are,
They're supposed to be topo and.
yeah, and they're supposed to be based on characteristics of an existing piece of property, but they're supposed to allow for the reasonable use of a piece of property. So if you want to put a 10,000 square foot house on a
40,000 square
a
foot.
quarter of an acre lot, that may not be,
well,
justifiable.
all right.
For example, that's an extreme, of course.
And this, I think what it is that when they come in with a preliminary plat, basically, that's when we're gonna check it, right? We're gonna check to see that they got the area there. But what's gonna have to happen is that spot, when the final comes in, is gonna have to be transferred and recorded with that. Otherwise, the people buying it won't know where to go look to see.
It needs to be shown on the plat.
On the final,
From now on, they'll have to show a building
on the,
spot
yeah.
on the plat.
On the plat, on the final, and then, but we'll need to see it on the preliminary. Otherwise, we would be approving something that we're gonna say, hey, guys, let's back up a little bit here. Because typically, we see the topo on the preliminary plat. We don't see the topo on the final, we don't require it.
Right.
We see the topo, so we'll be able to look at the topographical lines on the plat in the area that they've got out there and see. Of course, it's gonna be based on their calculations, and, so.
I
And
think
it'll
it's,
be,
I think if we put this in, that takes care of a multitude of sins on this thing.
Okay,
It does away with them selling the gullies. It does away with them selling them lots that are straight off a bluff. The ones that
rock
are
outcrops.
rock outcrops. It does
flood
away with
hazard
all that
areas.
stuff.
Yeah. And,
It's gonna holler at the smaller lot size, just for the percentage on it.
yeah, this will protect the
I mean,
buyers,
they
and
will
that's
go-
really
they will try
important,
to
because
go
that's
to
really one of the
the
main
smaller
reasons
lot
for
size.
it.
Yeah, they'll ever want to be 40,000 square foot. They'll not have any big lots because they've got to have a big, but the thing about that, if you want to build a bigger house, buy a bigger lot.
yes.
Yeah, and if the
Yeah, they can
whatever,
make
if
them
the
big.
developer wants to have bigger,
You can have
And
it.
then, how do we handle, if somebody buys 2 lots and they want to sit it in the middle of the thing, they have to combine the,
Yeah,
they have to-
you would anyway.
They would come back with a 2-lot subdivision
Yeah.
and combine those as
And
far
then
as
we'd
that
make
goes.
them
And
Do that
then,
again, wouldn't
yeah, you'd have to do it
Yes.
again.
it? Yeah.
so do we need language in there that says that?
Well, I think once you say each lot, you got that.
Yeah.
It's just I do the 2 lotters in-house, but they have to redo it before I can sign off of it in-house.
And as long as they've got that
As long as they've got
certification on
the
that,
Certificate on there, and the surveyor and owner signed it, I don't,
because at that point in time, what's gonna happen is if they're changing their house site, then Tom's gonna look at the septic and he'll re-sign off.
which
on that.
happens a lot.
Yeah,
It does.
So I think we'll be covered there.
But what you don't want to do is to build a house, say I've owned 2 lots and they're building a house on one,
Yeah, that,
and they're,
well, they can't do that. Once they get the equipment, they show them,
okay.
you can't cross that line without taking it out. So that happens a lot too.
But they can't get into the variance and all that.
No,
I mean,
no,
they can't
no,
get into
we
set, they've
wouldn't-
still got
yeah, wouldn't do
to
that.
abide by the setbacks.
Yeah.
One thing, when we, this discussion, this stuff should go into the section on the final plat, too, the requirements for the final plat.
Yes,
For, you know, for the plat to be recorded.
It would, yeah, you wouldn't put it on preliminary.
No, but what I'm saying is it needs to be definitively
Yes.
that's why
So-
I'm saying the certificates that you see on there, this one will be a certificate certifying that, that the lots in here meet all the building site requirements as per the Jefferson County Regional Planning Commission. And based upon that, then it would be a place for the surveyor to sign and a place for the owners to sign.
Now, I asked David about this. It don't go in front of county commission if we change this. But
No, it
we all
doesn't.
do have to have a public hearing on it.
The planning commission is the sole authority for subdivision regulations. It doesn't need to involve the county commission. It's often good to have their thoughts on it. But anyway, this is something that the planning commission can hold a public hearing on and adopt by
And you can
resolution.
do
So do we hold a public hearing in
Next
here?
month,
In here.
In here, in the meeting?
During the
not the-
planning commission meeting.
you can, if you vote on it tonight and do it, then you can have a public hearing next month. Before, just
I
like
think
we
you
do
need to see
county
the
commission.
language before that's done. I mean, instead of just doing it.
But it's gotta be in the paper. Does it? We don't have to do 30 days on it?
No,
Okay.
I don't think so.
Well, if that's the case and we're gonna do that, are there others, if we're gonna change our subdivision, are there other things in there that we wanna address that we might wanna change at the same time and do, have one public hearing for all of them?
Well, one thing I keep hearing about, if we're gonna change subdivision regulations, is if we're gonna have a subdivision, and one of the subdivisions we approved here back of this is a prime example. They cut off all the lots along the road. If we're gonna have a subdivision, and they're creating a subdivision, should they not have an entrance, an egress, and an exit point on that subdivision? Everything's gotta be internal instead of making it out of the, and a prime example is what we're into on some 4-lotters. They cut along the road.
Yeah, I know what
Well,
you're
that-
saying.
yeah, that's done all the time.
I understand, but if we're rewriting subdivision regulations and we're gonna create a subdivision, should we not take it off the county road and create, instead of creating 30 entrances, is create one entrance or 2 in that subdivision and make that subdivision even with a 4-lotter. They gotta take one road in and they got houses like
I
this.
don't,
So what you're saying is that you could front on the county road, but to access your house, you gotta come off a new road inside. You can't get a driveway off a county road into.
The minor access road.
Yes, cause when you
Opposed
do,
to, as
That
opposed
gotta be
to
a county road.
subdividing off a collector street.
Do
or
what?
something.
there gotta be a county road?
it'd have to be a road, well, if you had a
Because
50.
you can't do that for 4 lots.
I understand, but if you you wouldn't have to have a county road, but you'd have to have 50-foot right of way and you'd have to,
Well, you can't cut off lots unless it's on the county road. Period.
Yeah.
Well,
well, problem is, we've
I
got
know- I
that
know what
mess
you're
down
saying,
there.
I don't know how to remedy that.
If you made that, if that down there had been made to do that, and this is the problem, is that I realize that you're saying you can't afford to, but
Well, you couldn't on 4 lots.
should we even be doing things to worry about what they can and can't afford to? If they can't do it,
Well,
then
you
we don't have it
You
happen.
gotta remember, you'd be hurt, if you do something that small, you're hurting the family. I couldn't give my 2 kids I couldn't afford to build a road to build 2 houses in the back of the lot.
You don't have to make it a county road
Well, you do today.
going in there,
You do today.
do you?
You can't get a building permit.
Yeah, it has to be.
So how do we do that then?
It's the flag lots is what we're talking about.
Yeah,
So, you know, that's
Flag
what,
lots.
it's what you want to get rid of. And
Where that becomes a problem is on like state highways, where there's high speed.
So do we do it for everything over 4 lots? Then if you've got a family thing and you want to cut it off and give them,
well, it's the same thing with the problem that you and I were talking about. Same thing's going to happen is that, so the guy's got 15 acres. And he comes in here and he cuts a lot, he cuts a lot, and he goes, it's like this, and he cuts another lot, he cuts another lot. So he comes in here, he does 4 lotter. Then he comes back, he does the same thing until he runs out of road frontage all the way down through there. That's what you run into, and I don't know how to, I thought about that, but I don't know how to, I don't know
I'd
how
love to do, I know exactly what you're talking about, I'd love to figure it out, but I can't figure it out. Been trying to.
because if you had something like that, you wouldn't have that mess if we got down there off.
I 100% agree with you, but I don't know how you do it with not a lot, I mean, you can't cut up nothing without being on a county road right today, nothing.
Didn't Jenkins Farm, didn't they have like an
Well, they
access
had
road?
2, I mean.
Well, they have an access road that really, the ones that front on 139,
Yeah, but
they come off
there's
the
only
road
2
that's
lots
in
now
back of
in
there,
Jenkins
right?
that they're actually coming off the county road other than what they be.
Yeah.
And believe me, they called this morning because the 2 they're building on there, they didn't understand the 2 driveways.
But most of
coming
the
off
lots,
Main
though, that
Street.
are even along 139,
They're not,
They're not
no,
using
they never.
139.
I know, what I'm saying is that's an example of what I think John Neal's getting at, is they
Well,
don't come off
they-
of 139, they come off the road that has been
Yeah,
built
they
back.
didn't do it. The state wouldn't let them do that either.
Right.
No, I mean,
No, John Neal's talking about just a regular county road. I know exactly what
Yeah.
he's talking about.
so
And I agree with him, but I don't know how to remedy it.
I saw track land just sold today, and I know exactly what's coming on. It's the same thing. It's coming up right on it because it's got all kinds of road frontage, and they're going to end up getting, 15, 20 lots out of it.
And that's why they bought it.
And they bought it that
And
way.
that's what I'm saying, how, there's gotta be some way we can solve that to keep that from happening and that mess down there happening.
I don't know how you do
The way you do it is that everybody has to have 100-foot of road frontage.
it. What'd you say?
Everybody has to have 100-foot of road frontage.
Yeah, that'd stop a lot of it. You couldn't cut up nothing unless you got at least 100 foot, is that what you're saying?
And no
But-
easement,
well-
no easements.
Well,
No easements?
Well, I think, the thing is that when we get into subdivision, we get the cul-de-sac, we only require them to have 50 foot, but then their lot comes off. It's not coming off of,
Let me.
well,
give
you
some
could
of them-
say, if you're going to subdivide off an existing county road, that all your lots have to be 100 foot wide.
Road frontage.
But that still wouldn't stop your flag lots though.
No.
Because they could do 100 foot, no, they would still have to have that 100
They'd
foot.
have to have another 100 foot to send
Yeah.
send the ones back there behind, right?
Okay, if you're gonna subdivide off an existing county road, the lots that front on the county road have to have at least be 100 foot in length. Have
Or
100
the
foot of
ones
road
that have
frontage.
what if you say the ones that have access
That's what
to
I'm
the
saying.
county road?
Yes, if you're gonna access from a county road, existing county road, then your lots are gonna have to have 100 foot of frontage,
Would it be,
of road frontage.
So that means that if the ones in the back, they've still got to have 100 foot to get back to them instead of the,
That'll do away with flag lots, as
Well-
we know them.
No, it won't,
No, it
because we
won't.
have the other thing in there is that we allow you to do the easement.
well, that's what I was thinking to say. If you're gonna do that, do away with the 25-foot easements.
There'll be a lot of people hurt by that.
Well, it'd be full, but it's, I know, and I was gonna, some of you may know why we did that. 07, 08, somewhere in there, I kept turning family coming in wanting building permits for their kids, had 2 kids. They only had 50 foot of road frontage. And before that, I had to say no. Back when Robert Elwood was running, we didn't allow it. So I come from the planning commission, I don't guess none of you were on there then, David was here. And I asked, what could we remedy that with? And they come up with a 25-foot right-of-ways, which David didn't never agree with them, but they did it anyway, which helped the family people, but you can't do it just for family only. And so their end started to mess. It's helped a lot of people, but it's also, you know, once the surveyors figure it out.
It's made big messes too.
Yeah, once surveyors figure it out, it's a mess. So,
Yeah, I know.
I don't know
But I
what
know
to
where,
do.
I know where you're coming from on
yeah,
that.
I know, it hurts a lot of people and it helps people, so. I really didn't like turning those family people down. They couldn't give their kids a place to build. Which has helped a lot of people over the years, but now I wonder sometimes. I really do.
Well, see, it helped that, but then
It did.
here, it's being taken advantage of.
Yeah, it is
There's
now.
a difference.
Because that's nearly
So.
20,
Well, and
15 years ago.
But the thing is, whenever you set the rules down they're here, and once you determine that, it's fair for everybody. Everybody's following the same. So if you find a piece of property that, you know, is benefits and the rules work for you, then you've done it. And otherwise, you're gonna have to do some things. But I know where you're coming from. I wish I knew the answer, other than the fact of saying that if you subdivide off an existing county road, that we would require you to have 100 foot of frontage.
Well, using that one you passed tonight, how many lots would that got off of it?
The one up there at,
One right there in your hands.
well, they had a state road in the front and a county road in the back.
I know.
Well, there's not any flag lots in there though.
No, but still.
Oh,
they
how many,
have to be
oh, how
lots.
much, how many?
Yeah,
as
how
far
many
as-
lots? They wouldn't have had 14. They gotta have 100-foot road frontage.
There, Terry.
Let's see. I got it here.
Yeah, I'm old now.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
They're all 20s.
8, 9, 10,
I don't know how many
11,
feet.
12, 13. Every one of them had over.
Well,
100.
they all got 100 on that one.
Yeah, they all got 100.
Okay.
Of course, they didn't do any flag lots because they had a road front and back, so it didn't
They had
matter.
plenty of road frontage.
So that, I mean,
That
so
didn't
that
matter.
would, that,
So is that something we want to look at, is making that thing, if you're divided up and you're giving your kid there, can you not still do the 100 foot?
Oh, well, when it started, the deal was they only had 50 to start with. And there's still a lot of that out there.
yeah, there is.
Some of
We've
them don't
allowed
have
50 feet of road frontage for lots for 40 years.
Well, when
And,
you get in, when
so
you get in a
there's a lot of-
that's
cul-de-sac,
the problem.
you're gonna get those 50-foot frontages.
Some of them ain't got the 40. I don't know.
50 was originally chosen because that's the
There's
required
one down
width
there
of a
in
right-of-way if you need
Yeah.
to go back into a piece of property
Yeah.
and further subdivide it. You could build a cul-de-sac or a small road
Yep.
or a loop or
But
whatever.
it was
But that-
meant to build that thing back in and build a road off there.
Yeah,
50
yeah, it was
foot.
standard, so it would allow for that sort of thing, and not everybody would ever need that, of course, but it's.
So if you're looking at building a road, that's fine. But if your intent is to, and basically what is being done is they're buying that up and they're molesting that 50 foot and setting those things up and creating the messes.
Well,
But you can't penalize the family that has, let's say 15 acres and they want to cut up for 3 or 4 lots or 5 for kids and grandkids. They can't build a road for that. You just can't make them build a road for 5 lots. That just wouldn't be right.
Well, do you have to build a county road?
You would with today's standards, yeah. You do, you would. Unless they had 500 foot or more of road frontage, which is very unlikely on a lot of.
This would cut out a lot of subdivision development as we know
You
it.
talk about slowing development.
Yeah, it would slow it big time. Because road frontage is one of the most critical issues with any proposed
Although it
subdivision.
might bring more bigger subdivisions because they could afford to build a road.
yeah.
Your family can't afford it.
No,
I mean,
no.
Yeah.
5 lots, you can't build a road, county road for that.
And that would, yeah,
Bust you up.
that would make the lots probably a lot more expensive because of the amount of road.
I've thought of
They
this for
would
years,
need
I
it
don't
all
know
the
how you
time.
do it.
What if you come to play as far as the tract size that you're subdividing. So if you got a piece of property here that you own, and let's say it's 7 acres, all right? We could come in here and say, okay, if you're gonna do 7 acres, as far as that goes, then we might let you do a flag lot. You go over 7 acres, you don't get them. So that would help your that would help your family, as far as that goes. But then your big developments, that keeps them from just doing whatever. So,
What size are most of the family things you get in?
5 to 10,
And they're doing,
2 or 3 lots for the kids, grandkids.
so they're making them 2 acres, or they're making them,
Sometimes 4, you know, I mean, this court how much land they got.
so if you
The
made
road
that,
the road frontage is the problem.
so if you made that 5 acres, they could theoretically get 5 lots.
If
off
they
it.
got the road frontage,
If they got 50 foot of road front.
then they only do 3 lots anyway.
So if we set that at 5 acres,
whatever.
They still can only do 3 lots.
and then everything over 5 acres,
You don't get to do the flag lots.
you don't get to do the flag lots off existing county roads, you take them.
You're gonna have to develop your road off
I
that.
like that, because you gotta put in, that means if you're gonna do it, and you're gonna put in, if you're gonna try to do the 4 lot, 4 lot, 4 lot, 4 lot, like the mess we got down yonder, that cuts that out. You can't do that anymore, but if if I've got it and I wanna cut up, me and brother wanna cut up and give each of the kids a lot over there, we can take 5 acres
Yeah,
and cut up and give them an acre lot and
yeah,
right down through there,
Yeah.
off of County Road then.
yeah.
I like that.
So is that something we want to get some language in to also be put out there for?
Well, you can't put it in there for family only, you can't do that.
I'm not saying we have to put it there for
I mean,
family.
I just want y'all to know.
We're limited, from what Terry said, we're limiting it to a 5 acre tract. Or whatever we pick.
5 acres or more, I guess.
If it's over that, you don't get a flag lot. You don't get to go on the county road and go down through here from me to Mr. Paul, cutting up lots.
What if you got 12 kids?
We got to buy more land.
Got to buy more ground. You couldn't cut it up anyway.
That's Doc Wicker down there in the valley.
They broke paying off student loans.
Got 12 kids, they ain't worried about building them none of them a house.
No, they ain't.
They're giving them, they done give them everything they got. They got
Yeah.
12 kids.
They've been busy.
If it's a piece of property, 5 acres or larger, no flag
Oh,
lots.
well, I think you gotta say over 5 acres.
Okay.
If you
It's
set,
5.00001.
if you have a development, yeah.
So you're saying anything over 5 can't do flag lots, is that what you're saying?
Let's say you got 20 acres.
You'd have to build a road.
5 acres of that, you can do flag lots. Everything else has got to have
A road.
100 foot of frontage or come off of a new road.
Yeah.
So do we put that language in there also, it's that you gotta have, if it's over 5 acres, you got to have minimum of 100 foot frontage
On a county road.
on an existing county road?
And then on a new road, built in there, then basically they just have to meet the requirements, okay? The existing is the one that's getting.
Existing.
The existing, yeah.
Would any of these changes go in front of the regional? Dave?
No.
Okay, good deal.
Okay.
So if I had 15 acres and enough county road frontage, they could do it 3 times.
Because what you're saying is they'll do 5 acres, 5 acres, 5 acres.
5 acres.
And I thought about that as far as that goes. We would have to catch it on the front end there and say, okay, this is your one-time deal for this development. I don't care if you call it phase 1, phase 2, or phase 3. Well, here's what,
You can't cut them anymore.
but here's what's gonna happen. All right, so the guy's got the 15 acres, like you say. And he comes in here, he does 5 acres, he gets to do that, whatever. All right, so then he turns around, he's got 10 acres left. What happens if he sells that to somebody else?
Yeah.
Yeah, but here's the catch on that. How many of those properties will be rectangles or perfectly square that, just like
I know
what we
what
saw
you're
in there of what, Mark Jackson had in here today, that thing does not lend itself to
No.
He's
when
gotta
you,
build a road, yeah, I mean.
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is unless you've got a block of property laying like this table along that county road, there's gonna be relatively few of them.
I agree.
Yeah, you're probably right. Yeah.
But the thing is, but it's the same thing Mark goes back with, this guy here, he does 5 acres, all right? And we're saying, okay, you're the developer, this is the remaining part of your development down here. So these are the guidelines you're gonna have to follow under here. But then what happens if he sells that 10 acres and the next guy that comes in here says, I'm new on this property and I wanna do another 5 acre one. So I don't know how that works,
It's been previously subdivided.
okay?
I'm not sure I understand one thing. Maybe you can clear this up for me. When we're talking about 5 acres, are we talking about subdividing 5 acres into smaller lots and each have a half 100 feet? Or are you talking about cutting off a 5 acre tract?
No.
And letting that stand with 100 feet of road frontage?
What we're saying is that if you have a development here, and 5 acres of that, we're gonna allow you to have flag lots in here that only have to have 50 foot of
50
frontage to
feet,
get to the
okay.
back, okay? So, in that 5 acres, ever how many you can get based on your street frontage as far as that goes. However you wanna do the 5 acres, it's irrelevant, but that's the only flag lot you get. From then on, you're gonna have to build a road in here and everything else. And that's not to say that you won't have another 100-foot lots down here on the county roads, you can.
But now that 5 acres, you can do 5 lots,
Well, you could, I guess, depending on how it lays,
if you had a road.
yeah.
If you had road frontage,
If you had
you'd
road
have to have,
Yeah,
Yeah, that's not bad.
How much road frontage did you have to have for 5?
50 foot for each track. Or they could run.
So you,
that's 250
right-of-ways.
foot.
so you'd have to,
You can run the 25 foot right of ways if you want to, which is being done. But you could do away with those right of ways, You so pleased you. But there is times it helps people, I ain't gonna lie. If I only got 50 foot, it helps me, because I get 3 tracks, 2 for the kids, and that's it. Can't cut it up no more. So,
Well, what about if we put language in there that says if this tract has been previously subdivided, you cannot do the remaining partial.
I don't know.
I don't
know if that'd be
I
legal.
don't know, yeah,
I
that's what
don't
I'm
think
saying.
that'd be legal. I mean, I can't really give you anything to hang my hat on, except that,
I think Doug Drennan would not like that.
Yeah,
That's my opinion.
I'm trying to think there, how that we would get.
everything's previously subdivided in this country at one point into
I know,
something.
but I'm,
Yeah. Even if it's,
Yeah, everything was previously subdivided, but not everything was brought before a planning commission and approved.
Yeah, if it's,
I understand that.
So, there's a difference. There's a difference.
but what I'm saying, you would know it up front.
You would, because here's what you would do. So they come in with the 5 acres and they have the remaining of this left, okay? So what we're gonna say is, okay, that's fine. So here you got, this is lot 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's lot number 6. What you got left is lot number 6. So that made this a part of that subdivision. Did it not? Because it's gonna be recorded.
Yeah.
So it's a part, it's lot 6, which means lot 6 says.
Lot 6, it has to abide by the rules that the other 5
Yes.
started.
Yes,
It doesn't have to be platted or anything if it's over 5 acres.
we could require it.
I don't think we can. State law says it's not a subdivision.
Anything over,
Anything over 5 acres, if it has road frontage.
Now, see, you don't even see that. Don't have to have health department approval or anything.
The health department won't touch it.
so if it's over 5 acres and has road frontage, it's not considered a subdivision.
it's not.
Yeah, now, I do check.
By
them.
definition in state law.
I check them before they go upstairs and get recorded, make sure they got road frontage, but nothing else has to sign it, but they don't.
Yeah, they don't.
I don't sign it.
Yeah, that's state law. Yeah. I don't know, I thought that might work, but, I mean, I don't know. Unless we have to make them put it on a statement on here, remaining lands
12 acres.
remaining lands of developer.
Most surveyors, when they do these lots and there's a remainder of over 5 acres, normally they'll say remaining Smith property, you know, 12.2 acres,
Yeah.
or, you know, they just put that up for information purposes, but they don't survey it.
No,
This is
it's done
gonna
all the time.
be, this is gonna be complicated. I can already see it. There'll be people just thinking that, you know, they're gonna come in and say, well, he did it, how come I can't do it? And that's what's gonna happen on this. I can see it be complicated. I don't like it, but I'm just trying to think of a way to
Yeah,
get
and I'm
people to
just,
go the opposite direction. And the only way you're gonna do it is if you say, everything on county road has to have 100 foot. To subdivide.
Penalizing families,
And that,
and a lot of
the
the people.
the thing about that is it's not efficient development, especially if you're talking about going to the urban growth boundaries where you want it more dense. I'm just throwing that out.
I
mean,
understand.
everything's a double-edged sword, you know what I mean? You have more lots and it's more efficient in many ways, but you have fewer lots, you got less density and less traffic and less issues with
so all,
schools and
but
stuff. So
wouldn't that not make all the ones in the urban growth boundaries go to R1?
if
would
this
be-
was for the, if this was for the A1 district, yeah,
Yeah, but.
we'd get a lot of.
But what I'm saying is
But
that-
you
R1,
can't,
I'd
you're
say.
not, but you don't, they would want to go to R1, but here would be the thing. And it would probably make good sense, but they gotta come before county commission to get R1 in the growth boundary.
Or anywhere.
Yeah. Yeah. So even in the growth boundary, as far as that goes, they still gotta come before county commission to get R1, if they're not R1.
Or I guess for any rezoning change.
That's
That's
exactly right.
correct, but I'm just saying that yeah, it's still up to county commission as far as that goes. You know, I guess the thing is that, in the growth boundary, and I talked to Tim about this, Tim thinks that anything in the growth boundary is supposed to follow the regional
It does in Jefferson City.
planning commission, their guidelines, okay, as far as that goes.
Jefferson City won't allow the 25-foot right-of-ways in the region.
Yeah.
That's because they have subdivision authority in their own planning region
They do,
and planning authority.
And so does Dandridge, but then.
in White Pine.
But in Dandridge, I have, we more or less looked at the county's guidelines because, you know, if they don't want annexation, then they don't want annexation. So why, you know,
Well, and I think White Pine's the same way, it's just Jeff City don't.
okay.
Mr.
So-
Chitwood don't go
So
with it.
there you have it. You know, we can do the guidelines, but, you know, if we're gonna put it back on.
So I don't know, if you change that to anything, Jeff City don't have to,
No, they don't, not in the
No.
growth boundary.
not in the growth boundary.
This would apply only to our planning region,
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
Jefferson County planning region.
So would it not, I guess maybe I'm not making myself clear, would it not drive it into?
Oh, yeah, it would, yes.
Oh, it probably focus,
And our land use plan says that we want that development.
yeah, yeah.
This
yeah,
would- this
should
would,
drive it into, yeah.
what you're suggesting would,
Would drive it into the growth boundaries.
yeah, I think it probably would. Developers would look in order to get more
'Cause they would
intense
look at,
developments, if you
Yeah,
will, and more bang
because-
for their buck in those areas.
I mean, be more efficient, that's the place that it's not gonna cost them as much money.
That'd be one good thing.
And
about it.
that would push the development in towards the cities.
But now, could that potentially devalue a lot of folks' property in the long term?
Some maybe not. It just depends on the property, I guess, because
Well,
they're all not created equal
Well-
and what amenities that they have. And so when you're sitting there looking at it, you're saying, oh, you know what, look at all this road frontage I got. By golly, I can just make bukus of money and I don't have to spend any money. And then the other guy's gonna come along and says, you know what, yeah, it's a good piece of property and everything as far as it goes, but I'm gonna have to build, you know, half a mile or 3/4 mile of road and run water and sewer and everything else, or get in there to make it work. So, you know, yeah, the property there that you don't have to do anything, yeah, it's gonna be more valuable per se than the other, so. But that's, you know, no different than somebody's got a nice piece of lakefront property and it's nice and level into the water. Yeah, it's more valuable than the one that's just straight off slope. So I don't know how, you know, how that, I see what you're saying. I hate putting people in those kind of predicaments, so to where we're determined sort of value based on subdivision guidelines, and that can happen.
But the larger development, the guy that's gonna build the road,
He's going to.
he's coming anyway.
He's
I mean,
coming.
Yeah, it's not stopping them.
Yeah,
It just takes it off the,
yeah.
You know,
you gotta have driveway connections, and the thing about that, it does away with a lot of things. It does away with all those driveway connections
It does.
that Charlie Tipton has to fool with, and your road issues and things like that, and takes the traffic to a central point.
right, but there will be additional county roads for Charlie to maintain, because those roads will be turned over to the county. So he will have additional responsibility that way over time as this happens. I think what you're proposing is most important for collector streets, you know, major roads like, well, obviously our state highways here, and maybe Dumpling Valley and several
And
other.
Klein, or not Klein Road, but Cole Road is the one I'm thinking about out there.
Yeah.
I mean, they went up through there and tracked that thing all the way up through there, and you got 20 cars that's leaving coming down Cole Road to come there, rather than having to come out of the subdivision.
Well, that's the next phase. I mean, he's gonna build a road up there.
I understand, but it doesn't
No.
change those 20 cars coming out onto the Cole Road,
They're building 5, 6 inches.
each house down through there.
Yeah.
I know, that's what I'm saying, when you find a track, it's got a lot of road frontage,
And I understand that's a plus for the builder, but is it what we want over the next 10 to 20 years in the county? Do you want that property cut like that with those traffic issues and the collector streets and all that you're talking about, Mr. David? Or do you want property that's developed that has a planned traffic pattern and
well,
so?
it goes back to the same thing. If you says here, if you're gonna develop on a county road, all your lots have to be 100 foot. And we're not so you don't get any flag lots, period, off county roads then.
I think that's the only way you can do it, but you're penalizing a lot of people.
I know you are.
And there's a lot of small
think you
county
do
roads,
this
most of these cul-de-sacs are county roads too. Do you want to require them on that or
It's
just on major?
Existing county roads,
Yeah.
not new roads, existing county
I
roads.
understand.
If they pave in the subdivision,
Yeah,
Oh, that'd be, yeah, that's still a county road once Charlie accepts it. You know.
yeah, but it's not an existing county road before we see the plat.
No, but yeah, it's gonna be, yeah. That ain't gonna be your problem.
okay, so let me ask you this scenario. All right, so here's your county road, and you got your 100 lots in here, and then he comes in and he builds his new road, okay, coming in so far. And we say basically then, when he gets in here, he's just standard road frontage or whatever. But once he gets in here, he can still do this, couldn't he? But the thing is, they're not coming out on the county road, they still gotta come out the same
Gotta
entrance.
come out there and you create the traffic pattern that comes out rather than putting 20
Yes,
new driveway connections on that county road.
that's correct, because the driveways will be on this new road,
So
and
if
they'll come
you-
out here.
So can they do 50 foot on that new road?
Yes, what we're saying is they would be, if on the new road, they would be able to do the 50 foot, and get back here to the back behind, and they could do a flag lot back there,
But
okay?
that will be a county road.
Yeah,
Yeah.
what happens when this is a county, an existing county road?
I don't know how
Or
you
if
do
one's
that.
already there that's like
Because
this?
you're,
Do they have to have 100 feet?
Yes,
No.
if on existing county roads, you will.
Even though it's not a
Not a new
collector
road.
or anything like that?
I don't believe you can do that.
Well, we could say if it was a collector, I guess.
'Cause
that-
once
We have the classifications, arterials, major collector, minor
yeah, but once
collector.
it becomes a county road, I've not seen any plats come in here that they've had subdivisions that's had roads cut in them that didn't already have the lots.
Yeah, but I don't, if you say and you put it in your subdivision regs, that each lot has to have 100 foot, when they come before you, those lots off that new road better be 100 foot.
No, if
Yeah,
it's
they
an,
have to be.
if it's an existing county road, it has to be.
I don't see how you can do that.
But if they're
That ain't
making,
fair to anybody.
if it's an
Why is that
internal,
not fair?
Because you're making me do it, and you're not making the people in the subdivision do it?
no, because the subdivision, they're putting a new, brand new road.
It's still a county road, boys.
It's not until he accepts it.
Okay,
You've already got the lots on there.
I understand what you're saying, but I don't believe
The
they're
plat
gonna-
that we see is already gonna have the lot on there,
I know,
on that
I
new
know,
road.
But I just think.
and the whole purpose for the new road is to drive the traffic in to
I
where you do
understand
that,
but I just
and
want-
not on the county road.
What he's doing is, he's still getting his flag lots. Only thing is, the access is not gonna be out on the existing county road. Now it has to come in on the new road, right there.
But that road is internal to the subdivision. I mean, it's not, it's like going down there below the house at West Hills. That road don't go anywhere except around in the subdivision.
I understand, but I just, it's gonna be a county road.
And then it comes back out on the 4 lane.
What do you think, David Boyd?
Well, there's different kinds of county roads. You got cul-de-sacs here in the county that are county roads. Would they, if there's undeveloped territory back there, would they have to have 100 feet of road frontage?
No.
Even though,
No, once you come in on this new road here off of this county road here, then they get to, whatever our subregs say for that right there, they get to do. They can have the 50 foot, okay, in the cul-de-sac. They can come in here at 50 and branch out and everything else. As
even
far
though
as,
that cul-de-sac's been there as a county road for 20 years,
Back in the knobs.
and it's technically an existing county road, because it's not been fully subdivided.
If it's not subdivided right now and they're starting to do it, and it's an existing county road, yes, 100 foot. If they are building a new subdivision and they show us the plat in there, then it's a 50 foot. But if they've not developed it, it's just like them selling off of another road. Why should they be granted any special purpose if they go back in that cul-de-sac or go back in there where that property's not been developed? You're doing the same thing as you are on the other road out wherever you're at. It's an existing county road.
All right, I mean, hope we can explain it to them.
well, we'll have to draw them an example, probably.
You better run it through Doug too, because once you say county road, that opens up a lot of worms.
Well, it's only an existing county road because and in that way, it will make the people that are developing the subdivision, it'll make every one of them that puts a road in, it'll make them go ahead and plat that subdivision
Yeah,
to where we know what's going on.
Yeah,
If
there'll
they
be
can't,
more-
they
there'll be
can't
more
leave
roads
this,
built.
Well,
For sure,
that's-
yeah,
well,
there will be more roads built, I understand that part.
they won't be able to leave this big area over here just open.
Yeah,
They'll have to go ahead and put that in there before they turn the road over.
but once you say 100 foot of road, county road frontage, I just
So,
think.
so is that not what we want? We want them to fill that up. We don't want them to put this in, build that loop around there, leave a big open space and walk off to another subdivision.
Get
We
the
want them to
language
fill,
right. Get the language right, that's all I can tell you.
well,
Make sure you get it right.
all
Because
right.
for years, it's been 50 foot of road frontage, no matter what. If you build a new road, it's 50 foot of road frontage. Doesn't matter, it's a county road. That's why they build it to county road standards. That's why we let them cut off a new road, county, that Charlie okays. I see no difference in that. I think it should still be 100 in that subdivision. If you're gonna do 100 for one, you gotta do 100 for all. That's
No,
mine.
I'm gonna disagree with you because
Well, yeah, I
I
don't
think,
gotta vote.
I think you're taking, if this is the county road, when you go into and develop that subdivision, you're building the infrastructure in there.
And you're making it a county road.
You're
Only if
building it
it's
to county road
accepted.
specs, but
But it will be.
Well, you don't know that.
Or you all
it
don't
has to
approve
be
it.
accepted,
You
but
don't approve it.
it makes the developer plat everything in there before he turns it over. Because if he turns it over, then it's an existing county road. And if he leaves a,
Well, you all approve it in here, with hoping Charlie approves it in 3 years. But they gotta keep it up for 3 years, and Charlie ain't gonna take it. But we still cut off of it in those 3 years,
Yeah, we do.
because we've already approved it.
Yeah, we've approved it.
And all the houses could be built within.
Because they're
3 years.
dedicating it as an easement. It's just the fact that we haven't taken the road surface because we're, you know,
Yeah, I mean,
That's just what-
It's never happened, but
if they do that, then they're gonna fill that up. They're not gonna damage the road building like they would if they leave the big parcel out over here and decide to come back and do it later.
well, they usually don't put the final top on it till all built out anyway. I don't know. Whatever y'all decide, we'll enforce it. I just don't see how you do 100 foot for some and 50 the other. I just don't see that. Should be one for everybody.
what this
Like
does
it is
is,
now.
this,
Or vary by zoning district.
this takes out flag lots off of the existing county road.
Can we,
They can
you
still
just
have
take
them-
them out completely?
Huh?
Flag lots? Can you not take them out completely?
I don't know. All I'm saying
Yes, it
is that later on, they can still get the flag lots.
Yes.
It's just not off the existing county road.
Is there other counties don't do flag lots?
None that I know
And I mean,
of. But the state gives great leeway when it comes to the planning commission's development of subdivision regulations and administration of them.
Well,
There's no guidance at all in the state law. There may be court cases that I'm not aware of.
Well, I just think we need to look at some of these things like this if we're gonna redo the subdivision things that,
yeah, now it's time to do it, yeah.
and that right there, the flag lots is an issue.
It is. I agree with that.
all right. But I still say we put that on there for the public hearing.
5 acres,
Well, you gotta vote, I mean, you'll have to do something.
No, I think we either do the 5 acres or we just say when you're gonna do a development, anything on county road, your lots are gonna have 100 foot. And then you can, if you, on new roads built into a development, you can have flag lots off of that. And, so what that just cuts
With the
that.
lot size
That
based on
takes care of,
zoning district.
no, there'll be no flag lots off of an existing county road then. That's what would happen.
if the lot is gonna be an acre, it's gonna be 100 foot wide anyway, is it not?
No, don't have to be, not today.
Well,
They don't usually, all 50 is all they want.
well,
What size is how far is setbacks again?
Well, you gotta be, if it's got water, it's gotta be 100 foot at the building line.
yeah, to build a line. So if you've got 50 foot of frontage, it's got to go out there, and your building setback is wherever it is, the lot turns get to 100
If you
foot.
run a flag lot 50 foot back to the end of the building here, when you get back over the building line,
It's 30 foot back then.
30 foot back from where the line is, it's gotta be 100 foot wide with water,
What about the sides?
10.
10, okay. All right, you're 60 foot then, right? We're 30, our minimum thing now is,
Yeah, you're 60 foot, yeah, all the way around.
30, 40.
you gotta be 30,
30, 10, 10, and 10.
so that's,
But the building lot, what you're talking about.
yeah, the width of the lot, the minimum it could be is 50. Yeah, 30, 10, and 10 on the sides.
And then the rear, 10.
Or no, what do we make it? Depend, but the house is 40.
30 by
30 by
What do we,
40.
30 by 40.
30 by 40.
Okay, if we're 30 by 40, if you're 10 on the sides,
50 by 60. Wait, no, I'm
It's
sorry.
40 by 20
Yeah.
for your setbacks. Because it's 30 on the front, 10 on the back, two
See,
10s on sides.
There's two different things we're looking at here. When we do it to 30 by 40, what are we talking about, the lot size?
the minimum building,
So here's your lot, and then here's the 30-foot setback. And here's the 10-foot setback, and 10-foot setback, 10-foot setback. In this area in here, you've got to get a 30 by 40 in this whole area here, plus your septic system in
all
that
right,
area.
so you've got, but what I'm saying is 40,
So if you have
And-
100 foot of frontage, as far as that goes, then basically that leaves you 80 foot this way to get your 40 foot in between these two right here. And then basically, if the lot's, what,
so that ain't gonna leave you but 10 foot on each, that ain't gonna leave you but 10 foot being that way anyway.
yeah,
You ain't got, yeah, that's
I know,
not been a problem. Your setbacks take care of most of that.
yeah.
And what I'm saying is,
Drain field and duplicates gotta be in there too.
rather than having a little bitty narrow pinch up here, you're gonna have lots that are like this. Because if we put that building site that every lot has to have, and that includes the 4 lotters and all that other stuff,
Would be
if that's,
excellent,
if that's 30 by 40, if that house is 40 foot this way, you've got a 10 foot here and a 10 foot here, that's 50, 60 foot. So 60 foot is the minimum that lot's gotta be anyway. You're just talking about 20 foot on each side to say 100 foot.
yeah. That's running the press now. No, he's,
I don't,
Hurry up, do it while I was gone. He comes back in, we'll all say, well, we all voted about adjourn.
it's just you take home studies here.
If you'll give me some guidance, I mean, you have pretty much, if you all agree with it, I'll write something up.
well, start something, and then we'll look and see, and give us some time to think about it. It's, I always just try to look to see is that, if I'm a developer and I'm looking at this land, and I want to utilize this land to the utmost, then this is what I want to do. And now then, when I look at this land, I said, okay, here's my new guidelines, then I'm going to have to sit back and think about it again, saying, okay, I've got all this road frontage, but I'm just going to get to utilize so many lots out of it, and then I'm going to have to spend money and build me a new road to handle the rest of it. So, it's either that, or, you know, if he don't want to build any road, then he's going to make his lots a whole lot bigger for the house size, and go from there. So, all right. Is that
Price
agree?
of houses now, they might not.
Agreement to let Davis get us something,
Yeah,
I'll
I'd like
send something to
I'd like
Terry,
to
and then if he agrees, we'll have Stephanie
send it out to you,
everyone.
get it out, and then take a look
I'd
at it.
like to see some language in there, because I think that's gonna be the ones that do not want, the ones that just wanna do it and make a quick buck, I think that eliminates them.
Yeah.
All right, we're ready to adjourn. Everybody got that vote?
All rise. Oh, I ain't the judge.
All right. Then, one other thing that was brought up was, sidewalks in developments. That was put in front of me.
Who brought that up?
That's big money.
If we do that, then we have to maintain them
I
things, do we
understand.
not?
Yes, we
As
do.
a county.
I checked, and that would be, it'd be on our.
I'm gonna tell you what, Charlie Tipton ain't got enough
He
budget
ain't gonna do it.
to do it.
Well, then you also got the possibility of those sidewalks being, maybe, I don't know, on some water lines or sewer lines. Maybe, I don't know, that's what we deal with in White Line is
Yeah.
cutting sidewalks up all the time just to get to a water line.
It happens, and you gotta make it, you just gotta be laid out at the beginning to do that.
And then you put the sidewalks in and they're gonna cut them in to put a driveway.
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
So typically, it's better if you can just take a bond as far as that goes, and when the houses are built, put the sidewalks in. But then, and that's a nightmare, because I've dealt with it.
Wider one.
Is that, say you get a development out there, and then all of a sudden the market goes sour, and the subdivision sits there for 10 years. Well, you've got to keep that, make sure that bond or that letter of credit just continues to own to take care of those sidewalks.
Like Patriot View.
Now, who are you saying is taking care of the sidewalks?
County
The
would.
county?
They would be in
If
the
they
right of
put 'em
way,
in
and
a
then they would have to
subdivision
do the
and they
maintenance
turn-
on them.
And they turn the roads over to the county and it's
Sidewalks.
accepted. The full right of way is accepted, Miss Sue. And the sidewalks would be on the right of way.
In the subdivision I'm in now, I thought she told me that the builders had to take care of the sidewalks.
Well, that'd be good if somebody got that in the language.
What happens
Sure, the
is,
city interested.
what happens
Yes,
is,
I
if a
am.
builder comes in and he runs over the sidewalk and he breaks it,
Yeah, right.
they make him fix it, okay?
Mm-hmm.
All right, but here's the question is, all right, what happens if the sidewalks gets broken and nobody knows who broke it?
Nobody knows
Who
who
broke
broke
it?
it, yeah.
Then,
Or they crack and they,
yeah,
Mhm.
or they settle, or this or that, whatever. So then, the county would fall in, and because of the liability, they would have to come in
Yep.
and take care of it, so that is an issue. I mean, it is, I just tell you.
if you're gonna do that, you'd just be better off to put in a walking and bike lane,
You could do that.
just a flat lane, it's,
Widen the road and
yeah, give it another
Line
5 feet
instead
or
of
whatever
sidewalk.
over there.
Yeah.
You
Just
think sidewalks are necessary in most of these subdivisions?
No.
I don't have them in my subdivision, I live in Knoxville.
I'm just passing on what
I
was
understand.
things that were presented to me.
Do people in your subdivision use the sidewalks, or do they walk the road?
Oh, we're talking.
Well,
So,
both.
well, that's
You
what
know, but
I say.
see, ours is
Yeah,
like
I
a
know what
circle,
you're saying.
you know, it's a circle, so when she built that subdivision, she told me they made her put the inside sidewalks and the outside of that circle sidewalks.
But people, it's about 50-50.
Yeah,
Part of them use it, part of them.
yeah. Kids use the sidewalk a lot,
Do
yeah.
skateboarders.
But we don't have many kids in that subdivision. It's really supposed to be for us old people.
they? A lot of places I see it's got sidewalks, people still be walking the road.
Yeah, they do.
Oh, yeah.
I don't know what
Well-
it is, it's just,
I just,
I use them some when I'm walking, but then, you know, you have to watch what you're doing, because then the sidewalk goes down for a driveway, and then it goes back up, and then it's level, and then it goes back down, and, you know.
If somebody falls and gets
So-
hurt, who's liable for that?
well,
I guess the county would be if we had them in the county.
only if you're negligent, you know.
Yeah, I
Just
don't
because
know.
somebody.
Yeah,
Well,
but, you know, if your sidewalk sinks that much and you've got a,
If I
Well, it does
call
for a driveway.
extended period of time and can show that
look,
whoever's supposed to be maintaining these new and didn't come back and didn't come and didn't come and didn't come and didn't come,
then they,
you have an issue there.
It's not only builders that tear up sidewalks, it's this. Every cable company wants to run underground cable, AT&T when they come in there and everything else. Every time there's any kind of new utility or anything else that goes in an existing subdivision that has a sidewalk, there's a sidewalk gets tore up.
yep.
And if you're not there, you know, typically they're supposed to put up bonds to take care of that and everything else. But you can't afford to put a man out there and watch somebody work 7 days a week on that to find out if they do something wrong.
Yeah.
It just don't work that
Can
way.
you get a hold of, Charlie Tipton and see if,
I already know what he'll tell me.
not about the sidewalks, but making, how much it would impact him if we say it's gotta be 5 foot wider
I want the paving.
on the pavement for them to walk on, you gotta put in a, line that out or what, I mean,
I don't know if it's necessary, I'm just saying, if I had a choice between sidewalk and that, I think
Yeah,
a little bit.
because when they go back in there to pave, it's just a pavement job and,
yeah.
and it, there's no big deal there.
So I guess what we could say is that we're giving the developer a choice. He can put a sidewalk in, or he can make it pave extra 5 foot wide, right, for walking.
Yeah, and
And
if
it's
you're gonna, and is there any way that we can put in there that if he chooses to put sidewalks in, that he has to maintain them?
I don't see how you could, because you don't have right away.
Okay.
I don't know, yeah, I don't know how I'd ever get that, I mean,
Yeah.
because those guys be long gone, you never chase them down. But you're right, we could,
Well, I mean,
and that's a good idea, you just make the streets wider, and that gives you.
tell me, they could put in line it off, and they got a bike and a walking lane over there. You got one side of it's just got a
My
place
subdivision,
wide as this right here
the
or
road is
something.
probably
It's
24
5
feet
foot.
wide.
Average.
People
it 5
walk, they
foot?
push
Is
their
that what it
babies,
is?
they walk their dogs, they jog, they
I don't wanna
ride
see
their
that
bikes,
it's place, yeah, we go.
and there's no real need
Going
for a
down
sidewalk.
actually, and, yeah.
I think it's more of an urban type
But
thing
they're
when you get into
out
like
in the middle
downtown
of nowhere
Jefferson
out
City,
there,
downtown
Georgia.
Cambridge.
And they
You
got
can't
bikes.
function in Knoxville without sidewalks, even in the residential areas, because it's intensely developed and you have a separation of people and, and traffic.
Well, one thing that's changed here for us is that when you do that development, then the Postal Service is going to say, okay, no more mailboxes in front of your house.
Right.
So here's your cluster box, and you're over here, so, you either get in your car and drive down and get your mail, but if you want to walk, then, that's the only thing, that's the only
That's
reason I
what
saw
happened in our
the
system.
sidewalk. I just said, okay,
Yeah,
that gives
cluster
you.
boxes.
Yeah, so the cluster boxes are gonna force you to sort of, to walk in your subdivision.
Mm-hmm.
And here's the thing is that, yeah, I guess, is it safer to walk on the sidewalk, or is it safer if you just have a walking lane on the street?
Walking lane on the street would be more lovely
Well-
than like what our sidewalks are.
Well, then, if that's the way we need to go, then that's.
And I was telling Mark, there's some places more hauling beans down there to Gainesville, out there in Georgia, some of those developments that are out in the middle of nowhere, and it just blows my mind. But down there in North, they've got bike lanes going down through there, and they've got them marked, and they're, so,
Yeah,
and you'll see people out there.
you could do that. You could
South
actually,
Georgia?
you could put that in there,
You say South Georgia?
No, North Georgia.
on one side of that street, there
On
could
one
be a
side of the street,
designated
there's a bike or walking.
walking trail, it was just part of the paved road.
Yeah, it's just,
And
it's
it'll be
that much
striped.
wider, 5 foot.
Striped.
Mark looked it up, he says about 5 foot.
I'd rather do that than have sidewalk.
Oh,
Yeah,
I think 100%.
okay.
If it's not 90 degrees.
So is that something that we want to look at changing, is our street width to expand that?
Those internal roads, yeah,
So, but do we need to ask Charles if that's going to put an extra burden on him?
yeah, we need to find out.
Well, you know it is.
But I mean, how much is it? I mean, is it
I don't know.
is it an
I know
extra
what he'll say.
$10 worth of pavement
Make a motion.
when they go to repave it? Is it,
Half a line.
Yeah, it's about half a lane, you're right.
so I mean, does
So that's
that,
gonna, that paper that drops to asphalt.
Yeah, we fixed
So
the
why,
lines
is
in
that
there.
one lane of traffic per swipe, or is that?
I think it's 12 foot.
I don't know,
That's
it's 12.
what it is.
I think that new paver he's getting is 12 foot.
So here's the thing though.
So it's 10-foot lane.
So when he has to repave that road, all right, the part that's probably gonna be wore out the most is the part where all the cars drive. This lane over here, he might not even have to do anything to it, because it's not got any wear and tear. So it might end up being not that bad, I don't know.
Well, it's years.
And realistically,
You have to repave it anyway.
You're putting, basically what you're doing is you're putting in a safety shoulder
You are.
Yeah.
on that new road.
Right.
So you're starting to build roads with shoulders on them already.
Yeah. Yeah.
So instead of a dumping valley, you're gonna have something to shoulder where a car can pull off, have trouble or whatever.
Okay.
So we're headed in that direction.
Does that, let me ask this. In our roads, the way we build them, we have a base coat and then we have a top coat. All right? Could you just get by with that 5 feet just being a base coat? I don't know.
That's out of my wheelhouse, sir. I have no idea.
I think it all needs to look the same.
Okay.
I
that's
think
I agree with that,
surface
just don't
preparation would be just about as easy to do one.
Yeah.
easy
Well,
to
if you
do
got
the
a-
Same thing as it would be to.
If it's not level
Yeah, it would
enough,
be,
if you
yeah.
run off, it's gonna pull your
Yeah,
vehicle
you're
over
right.
toward.
That's probably right.
Would some of the funding come out of the recreation department instead of the road?
Grant.
Well, yeah, but
Yeah,
we're putting this onus on the developer.
That'd be on,
Yeah, they were putting this on the developer. This ain't on the taxpayer.
No, it's ain't on the, it's out
Taxpayer.
the budget.
This is on the developer. Oh, they'll
I'm just
cry.
getting it balanced now, Chigger. You can't add more to it.
Well, here's the thing is, we're just, they can pick their poison. They can say, okay, would you rather do sidewalks?
I don't know if you give them the option.
I know what,
I wouldn't
they're
give
gonna
them
pick
the
this.
I wouldn't put sidewalks in none of the lanes.
But if you, what I'm saying, if you give him the option and he decides to build sidewalks, then we're in trouble.
We're in trouble, don't give them the option.
Well, all right then. So that would be, another thing there is to widen streets
What is our width now?
20.
to
So we go
20
to 25?
25 feet.
And 5 foot be dedicated to walking or bike.
2.5 on each side?
No.
Or just 5 foot on, you just do it on one side?
Just
That's
one
back to
side,
that,
yeah.
that's back to that 10 foot wide by,
I thought you go up this way and back this way. I ain't rode a bicycle 40 years.
You just need it on one side.
45 years.
You just need the 5 foot on one side for it. That way you
A
get
lot of
your.
traffic there on one side.
But does it need to be on the mailbox side or the mail cluster side?
Well, I thought about that, but then let's think about it. Should it be on the side where you're facing traffic coming towards you?
Yes.
That side,
yeah,
yeah.
it needs to be on that side.
It needs to be on that side,
Mhm.
on the side that you're facing traffic.
Yeah.
Would be the
Not
side
coming
that
You could have mailboxes on both sides.
Well, they
Could.
don't let you put mailboxes.
But here's the
right there
thing is,
anymore.
even if you got your mailboxes there, all thing you're doing is that once you walk down here, you're just walking across the street, so.
Yeah, but you create another place for somebody to park to get the mail out there.
Well, and like
That's
you
what's-
said,
Yeah, there'll be
if
cars
they got
parked in
the
there.
cluster boxes, you're not gonna have them.
Junkers.
So are
Parking
they
on tax
making,
voters
legally
out.
making them put cluster boxes?
How
in
many
there?
they got to have running now?
I know why
Have
the
five.
bigger ones are doing that. There's a lot of it's like homeowners.
Well, anyway, I think we widen the
Yeah, it's like
streets
in our
25 feet,
subdivision,
No
they
problem.
made
and the
lady
extra
that
5
built
feet
it
is
put
a
in the
walking
cluster box.
and
That's
biking
probably
She didn't
area
want to.
association
that will be on the
guidelines.
side that faces
She
the
didn't want
incoming
to,
traffic.
and
You'll
the
probably
post
get a
office
hug
didn't
around
want
the
it,
neck for
'cause
that when
postmen
you tell
take
them.
letters.
You wouldn't believe the
Probably
calls,
so.
Oh, really?
you wouldn't believe
Because
the
they
calls
get paid
we
for
get,
every stop.
people parking.
If you got
In
a
those
cluster boxes,
subdivisions.
you don't
Well,
get, they don't get
you
paid.
know,
Really?
All around the cul-de-sacs.
But
See,
they
That's-
made
and
her
call
put
Charlie
it in,
tickets, all
and
that.
then
I
now
ain't
they
got
no,
nothing
just
to do.
call the sheriff. If it's
No,
a-
the
if
other
And
it's-
that'll be a
subdivisions
problem,
happen.
I promise you.
Well, they can go to ticket them. Sheriff's Department drive through there and ticket them.
Look how much money we've.
Charlie tells me
Get your
to.
mail every.
Make it $100
Yeah, I
fine.
have to go down to the
Had
cluster.
Burt Nichols up there
on the
talking
cluster
to
box.
us.
Once a week.
Well, you know,
Maybe you
we
wait
just
too.
got rid of the cluster box.
I know,
It's
it's bad. I know.
That stuff that's in there,
All right,
you
so
know, like if you get two
is there
things like
anything
this,
else
you're in trouble.
Other than,
just
somebody
got a
wants,
little- You know, it's.
every time you do a subdivision lot, they gotta plant 3 trees.
Now, which kind of trees?
He didn't say what kind of trees, he
I
said
thought-
3
I
trees.
thought we had a tree we couldn't plant.
I don't know, I'm just saying, do we wanna get
Got to
into
plant 3
landscaping?
trees.
In what?
Drive down.
Every time you kill one, you got to plant 3.
But what if you've already got trees on your lot?
Well, what about
I'm lost.
What about the brick color? I mean, we're going,
I think it is time to adjourn.
I make a motion, we adjourn.
We're getting off track, I know it. All right. So I've got at least three things here that I think that we should, that we got. We're looking at the minimum lot size, and then basically, we're looking at a way to eliminate flag lots on existing county roads. And then we're looking to widen the streets to 25 feet, with a 5 foot of that being for a pedestrian walkway or bikeway.
Minimum building size, minimum building.
Minimum
Building site lots.
Site.
Building
Minimum
site
building
size.
site, yeah,
And that's 30 by 40.
yes.
And a 10% grade, right?
In
And
that, area,
10%
in that
grade.
30 by 40, yeah.
And so how deep is that gonna be at 30 feet? Is that gonna be 33 feet, or is that gonna,
You mean how, in other words, if we start here, down to here in 30 foot?
right,
10% is 3 feet.
Yeah, it's 3 foot, yeah,
on,
yeah. In 30 foot, it'd be
On 30 foot, it's 3 feet,
3,
10%.
yeah. That right?
some of these hills you go off of, or some of the mountains you go off of, says caution 7 or 8% grade, and, you know, it's pretty steep grade
Yeah. Well, grades usually figured on 100 foot,
on 100.
yeah,
So it'd be 8 foot on 100.
so, yeah.
So you're gonna figure it on 100, you're gonna figure it on the 30 foot?
I think we figured on the 30.
You
Well,
figured on the 30 and the 40, so it can't slope
Yes,
over 3 foot
yeah,
on the side or 4 foot the other way.
yeah,
4 foot to the side.
4 foot going this way, 3 foot going that way.
yeah.
All right, and we need to put that in there, that it's specific to that, they don't
Okay.
assume it's figured on 100 foot.
Right. It's 10% in that, starting in that area right there,
Well,
so,
I know that the drive going up there to Electric Co-op is 7%. Right there in front of the
Yeah.
veterinary hospital. Cause when they put that in, they talked about not being over 7% to be able to get those trucks. That's a 7% grade right there.
yeah. Well, you know, that's a basement lot, that's what it is right there. So, they might still have to have a few retaining walls, but they won't have to have one 20-foot tall,
Well, you know,
unless they want it.
a full block straight it up.
Yeah. It would.
So we need that language in there, that it's figured on that specific thing.
Yes. All right, so,
So you got that, you got the doing away with the flag lots or the 100 foot or what we were saying on it.
well, let's run that by Doug and get some legal on that. And if he says, yeah, guys, that'll work, then we'll come back and we'll be good on it. And if he says, no, that's not gonna work, then we'll have to go back and try to come up with a different avenue, I guess.
Well, can you give him the different scenarios that
Yeah. I can.
come
You
up
better
with?
call him, because you know more what you're talking about, and I'm
Were you not paying attention?
asleep halfway through it.
Well, it's 8 o'clock. David, I don't think we're gonna get any more on the growth plan, okay?
Yeah, I think probably not.
So, that being said, if there's any, is there anything else on subdivisions that we have? I don't know, I'm just asking if if you remember, I gave you that letter, the things for us to consider, and so,
I think we've considered several. Don't mean we
have.
passed them, but we considered them.
well, that's true. All right. I'm gonna entertain it. Oh,
Ms.
do you have
Sue's already
anything else
made a
for us?
motion.
I've already made a
Close.
motion, I'm
Are we
waiting for a
getting close
second.
to, getting done with the land use program?
Well, we don't like much, I
Okay.
don't think,
I'm
that's
just-
do we do.
Okay, some answers.
So, let's see, the I-3 went through all, cities passed, I'll give you an update on that. So, everything's on that's, I guess, this now it's county commission. And A2 is scheduled to, this next round for all the cities,
Money.
so, for A2.
This is April 8th.
So, all right. Being nothing else, I got a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. All in favor, aye? Aye. All right.